Hello, guys, and welcome back to another special episode of Podcast Des. We're having a small one today, just because there's not a lot of news that have dropped. But welcome back, my very, very brilliant co-host, Paul. How you doing, my friend?
Nice to see you again.
It's always a pleasure to have you on. So we're in double digits now. This is Podcast Des episode 10. So
Yeah.
double digit time.
10.5 maybe.
Yeah, 9.5. We'll put it that one. So there's not really much that has been going on, but obviously we're coming to the end of Budokan, and there's a few little things that have dropped and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
do you wanna get us started? Because I know we were just talking about the picture that dropped just about 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, so I suppose what we've had since the last episode is Fox Day. Um, a lot of people had a lot of expectations as to what might happen. I think a lot of people were kind of disappointed. Maybe they expected a bit more, but
I, I
I guess
must
people who
admit,
have been around.
I was sort of in that category of maybe a little bit disappointed. I was expecting something.
Yeah,
I'm sort of pinning my hopes on maybe something happening at the end of Budokan now, but maybe I don't know whether or not that's just misplaced. But
yeah.
I'm like, come on, come on, come on.
That's that's the thing. Like fans that have been around a long time kind of know that Budokan can either be great, or sorry, that Fox Day can either be great or it can be disappointment.
Mm,
So I guess depends on how you see it. But a lot of people think that it's they're going to defer what they were going to say on Fox Day to the end of Budokan because it was only like going to be 2 weeks later. It's coming up quite soon on the 14th and 15th of April, I think.
yeah,
So yeah, so maybe we're just waiting until the last two shows of Budokan to get all the announcements at once.
I hope
So
so.
what we yeah, so like what we did get on Fox Day was a picture,
Oh, yeah, I'll bring that
an
up now.
image of you want to pull it up there,
Yeah, I got
an
it.
image of a staircase, like 10 steps going up in a pyramid type format to the words "Living Legend" at the top of the screen. So this is, I suppose, very cryptic. It didn't really have any other explanations other than picture and the hashtag living legend. So there's a few theories going around the community as to what it might mean. The first and probably most likely is a reference to a Japanese band called Sekima 2 or Sekima the Second, excuse my pronunciation if that's not quite right. But basically, they had an album that they put out in '99, which was called Living Legend. So a lot of people think that maybe Koba has taken inspiration from this band, and this album maybe specifically for Babymetal's next album.
Yeah,
And the imagery is quite similar. It has like a mountain going up to an X symbol,
mm,
which is similar to the stairway going up to the X symbol on the Fox Day image that they've released. Also, something that you might add to that, Sue, or sorry, no, I'll skip that one. So basically, yeah, so that's the first theory that it could be some reference to that. The second is, keeping in mind it's a stairway to living legend. So another theory is that it could be in reference to Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin.
yeah.
So this is obviously a hugely famous song by one of the biggest bands of all time, and it was basically the song "Stairway to Heaven" was the hit, like the main song, the hit song off their fourth album, of Led Zeppelin's fourth album, and Babymetal are coming on to their fourth album. So Stairway to Living Legend, Stairway to Heaven. Maybe there's some influence that Koba has taken from Led Zeppelin for this upcoming album, which we all anticipate. So,
I
um,
love that the conspiracy
yeah,
theories are out.
yeah, here and these are just theories. I mean, this is just fans kind of talking. The image was very cryptic. There was no real information. So naturally, we with the lack of information that you get from Babymetal, we speculate and we try and solve the puzzle and see what's coming next. So
Yeah, Kobe.
I guess we'll find out
Kobe's
pretty soon.
Yeah, Kobe's known to
Yeah,
do that though, isn't he? He drops little things, and people clutch at straws. But and sometimes you look at it and you think
yeah,
that's a little bit too far fetched. Only for like a year later to realize, holy crap, they were right.
yeah. He does, and he's known for taking his own influences and his
Mm,
own music tastes from the past and like incorporating that into heavy metal. famous during the Headbanger performance, who uses a half mic stand. That's a throwback to Freddie Mercury and Queen. So it wouldn't be that much of a stretch to think that maybe he took influence from a band that he likes and kind of using that style in the next album for Babymetal. Also, something to reference is there was a magazine interview that Stephen Chen / Funny Toss released a translation of recently, and it's an interview with Koba and Young Guitar magazine in Japan. So basically, they have a detailed interview which talks specifically about guitars and how Babymetal songs are put together. And in one of the answers, one of the most interesting answers was he was talking to his creative team, and they were talking about like bringing more like rock into Babymetal. So you could see their next album being like more kind of rocky than previous albums, which might have been more like heavy metal with pop. This might bring a more rock side into it, like maybe songs that are a bit like Kagero or Brand New Day. Might see more of those type of songs on the next album. So again, that's just another theory.
Well, that was one of the theories as well with the Living Legend, with the Stairway and stuff like that. Obviously, when Babymetal do something, they do sagas. You obviously got Resistance era, Metal Galaxy era. A lot of people, again, pure speculation, thinking this might be a little sign, maybe a little nudge of the next era. It could be, I don't know, Metal Legend seems to be a popular one that people really want to go for.
That was another theory that people were kind of speculated. Living Legend going to be the name of the next album, or what the next album might be called. So it might be something like that. They've gone with Metal something for all of the albums, or Metal Resistance, Metal Galaxy. Some people think maybe Metal Legend, or some people said Metal Myth. They said a myth becomes a living legend or something. So I've heard theories out there.
I've heard somebody say Metal Galaxy, so the next one is obviously Metal Universe. But I said this before. I said if you go Metal Universe, how can you go bigger than that?
Metal Multiverse then.
Multiverse, the Metal Multiverse. That's actually pretty decent, actually.
No, but there's a word of caution there. Basically, everyone thought that Metal Galaxy was going to be called Metal Odyssey because at the beginning of the year, I think it was in 2019. The hashtag in their New Year's tweet was Metal Odyssey. So a lot of people are thinking, this next album must be called Metal Odyssey, but it wasn't. It was Metal Galaxy. So word of caution there on it being called Metal Living Legend or Metal Legend could be just something completely different. So we'll find out.
I mean, another thing I want to touch on as well is what you were talking about the other night. You were telling me about the again coming up with the interviews with Koba, and you were telling me about the situation on Shine, I believe, which was obviously a lot of people say that that's meant for Mikao, but some people think it's for Yui as well. You said there was an interview which kind of clarifies that a little bit.
It's a reference to Starlight.
Starlight, sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, so there's I suppose theories going around the Babymetal community whether Starlight is for Yui or whether it's for Mikio or it's for something else entirely. So basically, Suzuka has apparently said that that the song reminds her of Yui. So, but she also kind of said that it's kind of a song that has developed its meaning over time. So I think the correct answer is that Starlight is basically whatever you want it to be. It's a kind of a personal song. It has a lot of meaning. So, if it's about Mikio for you, or if it's about Yui for you, or if it's about someone else in your life that you can associate the song with, that's what it's about. They don't put out too much information. They don't explicitly say it's about this person or it's not about this person. It's kind of up to yourself to kind of interpret it. So there's not really a right answer to that question. It's what the song means to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the best way of thinking about it.
You're definitely more partial on this podcast than you were. He's trying to save face. Loon's watching. He knows. He's sweating.
Yeah.
Because I know you were saying about the obviously that interview as well was saying obviously how like songs are structured and how
Yeah.
production of these songs are done months before in advance.
Yeah.
So you were saying then obviously about obviously Yui was probably maybe still part of the band when this song may or may not have been made or in production as it was.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I just
that's
thought it was
another thing.
interesting.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, I suppose if you're writing a song like that, one of the key lines in the song is, wherever you are, you live in my heart. If you kind of say, to someone that wherever you are, you live in my heart, that might suggest that maybe they're not living in the current world that they live in, that they live on, their memory will live on in your heart. So
Yeah.
that to me sounds more like a song about someone who has passed away, quite tragically and sadly. Whereas, maybe when Starlight was produced, it was could have been, late summer, early autumn of 2018.
Yeah.
And at that point, I suppose Yui was still, a member of the band. In theory, people might have expected her to, maybe recover and come back. So it kind of sounds unlikely to me personally that
Yeah.
that song is about that, or is about that particular situation. I think it's more likely to be about Mikio and a memorial song to him. Someone who was very important to Babymetal and
Yeah.
especially to the Kami band, Lamora, who was basically his best friend, and they were super close. I think the band and the Kami, even though they don't interact on stage, I think there was definitely a kind of a family vibe there
Oh
between.
yeah, no, you could tell. You could
Yeah,
tell.
you could tell there was a connection there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's unspoken, but you can see it. You can see that
Yeah.
there. So, yeah, my personal opinion would be that it's a song about Mikio. But if yeah, I mean, if people want to say that it means something to them, or they think about Yui when they hear it, or they
Yeah.
think about someone else,
I
again,
think your
it's
first
up
answer
to.
was the best answer. It was very well said, very well presented. Yeah, song could be interpreted in so many different ways. At the end of the day, I think it's however you want to
Yeah,
interpret that song.
there's no right. Yeah, there's no right answer. It's up to you what it means to you. Like,
Yes. So we're coming into obviously the last of the Budokan shows now. We've had a few surprises along the way, a few old songs that we thought probably
yeah,
wouldn't get played again have been played, which is amazing. I
sure.
believe there's only one or two now left to play on the playlist. I think the general theory, again, speculation, that probably
Hmm.
most people want to see Catch Me If You Can as one of the last songs. So,
Yeah, that's the one left on the list. Basically, when we talk about the list, we're talking about the 10
the
Baby Metal
10 Baby
Songs
Metal
tournament.
songs. Yeah.
Whereas all nine of the songs have been played so far, except for "Catch Me If You Can." So there's a lot of expectation that maybe during these last two shows that we will get "Catch Me If You Can"
Yeah.
again as a performance, and it hasn't been done for a long time
For a
now.
long
I wonder
time.
when it was last. Yeah, probably sometime in 2017, maybe one of the Fox Festival shows.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I haven't looked into that, but
It's
uh,
been a while.
yeah, yeah. No matter how you slice it, it's been a while. So I think a lot of people would like to hear that, and I guess that's something to expect. But other than that, I think these last two shows could be different from the first eight. I think they might follow a different format because this is the end of the Metal Resistance era, and in theory,
Yeah.
the start of something new. Hopefully, we
Hopefully.
all hope so. Um, yeah, I don't know what to expect. Let's see what happens.
So if obviously if they do end up playing that song as maybe like the last
Hmm.
day or the last 2 days or something like that, if that's the big blowout, would you be happy with that on a personal note? Would you want more? Would you be expecting more, or would you be happy with that?
Um, I don't know. I guess it's kind of the end of an era. I think another question which we've probably spoken about on previous podcasts and things is the idea of the potential third member. Momoko is someone who's done, I guess, the most shows as an Avenger, done pretty much every show since February of 2020.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of people would kind of like to see her become a full member, and if not, it's kind of hard to understand how Babymetal would move forward into the new era. Like,
Yeah.
do they add more Avengers because Riho and Kano seem to be busy doing their own things.
Yeah, busy doing
So
their own stuff now.
yeah, so if it's just Momoko and she's the only Avenger left, like I think a lot of people think, well, she's done so many shows, she works well with the group,
Yeah.
she's awesome, everyone loves her. Well,
Yeah,
why not, just have
she's
her as
yeah,
a
she seems like
regular member?
the natural fit. What I would say though is
Yeah,
that if we were going to have something along those lines, like, do you think we would have been teased or maybe hinted at or something for now, or do you reckon what they'll do is the last couple of Budokan shows they'll keep that as celebrating the old, and then maybe a month or two down the line we might start to see this new era.
yeah,
Or do you think maybe they will, the very last show, maybe a live recording, a pro shot, or a
yeah.
DVD or something, and do something out of the blue that nobody would, anticipate?
Yeah, but I suppose there's two schools of thought there. Like they could use the last two shows as an introduction to the third member or whatever they're planning to do, after Budokan, or they could just like say nothing about the future and just have the last two shows like be 100% about the past and
Yeah,
celebrating the last 10 years, and then as I said yourself, maybe in a couple of weeks down the line, or maybe in a like a lore video at the end of Budokan, kind of hint at the future. So yeah, they can either set up the future at Budokan or they can do that after. So
yeah,
I would like even like if they say nothing about the future or about maybe Momoko being a member in Budokan, I wouldn't say that means that she's not going to be added or something is going to happen
yeah,
later on. Um, I guess it's hard to plan ahead with COVID and stuff like that. Are they going to be able to do more shows and things like that? Like maybe that's why an album makes more sense, because
yeah,
you put out an album now, that's probably going to satisfy a lot of fans
for a long time.
for a while, and then they won't have to commit to doing more shows for a long time.
Yeah, is an album too
Um,
soon though after Metal Galaxy, or do you reckon the times are about right now?
well, I suppose they can announce it now.
Mm.
When it comes out is another kind of another question. Um, I guess the way they've been doing albums, like the theory is that Metal Galaxy probably should have come out in 2018 if
Yeah,
everything had gone to plan. So that was probably put off until 19. So I guess if it's been a good while now, it's been maybe two or 3 years since they, I suppose, originally intended to put out the
mm.
first one. So I think they've definitely been working on material like all the way along. Working on songs, working on music. Koba and the creative team,
Yeah.
probably Sue in recording. Um, so
You'd think
yeah,
they,
I think
you
well, like
think, yeah, you'd think
yeah,
they would be doing that as well. I mean, if it wasn't for
mhm,
COVID, they would have finished their world tour, uh, pretty much at this point, and then you'd probably looking at they'd have a few
mhm.
months break, and then you'd probably expect them to be dropping something about now anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say maybe in the summer or now, like maybe a new song or maybe like a mini album type thing,
Yeah,
or it wouldn't be out of the question for like a full new album to be released before the end of the year.
yeah,
I think that's possible. Obviously, again, these are just theories and speculation, but let's see. I think everyone would like some new music.
yeah. No,
I think that
definitely.
would definitely get fan wide approval. Even just a few new songs. It doesn't have to be a whole new album, but just something maybe like 3-4 songs on a bit of a mini like EP or something like that. That would go down well. I think
Yeah.
everyone.
One,
Yeah.
one thing I would say is well, maybe I'll ask you guys in the comments on YouTube when this drops. But would you be
Yeah.
fine with like if like I said, if they had like a proper good recording of the last day of Budokan, made it a proper pro shot and
Mhm.
stuff like that, quality galore, and they streamed that to like the one or something like that? Would that be something people, do you reckon, would like?
Yeah, I think it's very unlikely because we're so close to the last two shows. I think it's on the 14th. Today is the 10th, so it's 4 days away. If they were doing something like that, they would have you know talked about it or promoted it. much earlier.
Yeah.
I think what you're going to get is a DVD box set that's going to probably be announced shortly after Budokan, maybe sometime in May, and then it's going to be, I guess, sent out to people maybe in August, September time,
Yeah.
which would be generally around the time that they would do new shows in Japan. But they'd probably substitute that with a DVD release or Blu-ray release, whatever. Yeah.
So actually, this leads me to the other question. I'm going back to what I said about the streaming. Kobu's way of doing things is very, very old school. He's very by the book. He's got his ways. Doesn't really tend to step outside of those. You see a lot of bands, like I said, you see a lot of little bands over this pandemic that have been doing, like I said, live shows, dropping live CD shots, sign-ins, fan interactions. Like there's so much going on, and we've not really had that with Babymetal like at all. So like the question is if that's going to continue, is that a good thing for for us as fans? Because if you're not one of the lucky few at the minute who can travel around the world and can go to Budokan, there's the other 95% of the fandom that at this minute, nothing.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think that's most frustrating for especially overseas Babymetal fans, that Babymetal maybe hasn't been as good to the broader fan base. The overseas fans, maybe the less invested fan, maybe over the period of the pandemic, like they see other bands doing online lives and streams and things like that and making it available to everyone. So that's one of the criticisms of how Babymetal have adapted or not adapted to COVID, and how they've kept their fans happy. Some people, maybe as you said, the privileged few that are in the one or that have been able to go to shows maybe in early 2020, that they're, I guess, less dissatisfied. But I can certainly see how like newer fans or fans who maybe don't have the means to get all these DVDs or merch items or things like that, how they feel left out. So I understand that.
Does that put,
it's just a consequence of,
does that put pressure on Babymetal? Are we thinking, like I said, if Budokan by chance is underwhelming, we don't get anything, and then maybe down the line there's a DVD, is that I don't know, is that like an anticlimactic a little bit?
Yeah, I suppose you have to kind of, depends on what your expectations are. I mean, if you're in a position to get the DVD, which is probably going to be expensive, and maybe it could even be exclusive to the one, you might not even be able to get it overseas. There's a lot of Babymetal content that you just can't simply buy overseas. So I guess Babymetal seem to be about I suppose catering towards, I guess, a smaller group of fans that are heavily invested in them versus a larger group of fans that are more casual in that sense,
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, some people argue that during the pandemic, because of everything they've done, that they've probably lost some fans. That their numbers have gone down. But like I see an awful lot of people saying that that they've discovered Babymetal since the lockdown, and they've had probably people don't have much to do, so they have plenty of time to scroll online and find new and interesting music. So maybe maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they've discovered Babymetal during the past year, and maybe they're just waiting for them to.
You'd be surprised how many people message me and say, "Oh, Neon, your reaction to Babymetal was the first time I've ever heard them, and then I've watched all your reactions, and now I'm a Babymetal fan." And that's the biggest compliment to me. Because like I said, these girls are amazing. And once you listen to one song, that's it, man. It's just down you go.
Some people have probably left the base because they're annoyed at the lack of attention to overseas fans, but
I can see
I
that
think
though.
they're probably Spain fans too, like
Yeah, but
new fans.
I can understand that though. I mean, me now I've been a fan for about a year and a half since I started doing it on YouTube. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
Consumed Babymetal to the max. Gone down that foxhole so much, and even now, I even on a personal level, for me, I'm like, give me something, give me something. And it's like
yeah,
after the 10th anniversary, you could sort of understand. COVID kind of got in the way. Probably
sure.
plans needed to change. Probably Budokan's not gone the way they probably expected it as well, with half shows.
Yeah,
So maybe they're pulling that back again. I get the sense of, I get the feeling that they're wanting to drop something, but I feel like
mhm,
Cobra's not doing it, or Babymetal aren't doing it until the world is right again, and it's like full exposure, so
yeah,
it can get out there completely.
yeah,
I feel like I don't know. That's just me. I feel like they're constantly pulling back their plans, waiting for when
yeah.
all's good again.
But that's the thing, and it speaks to another interview that they put out recently, about Baby Metal deciding to do like their music videos or how they present their live videos.
Yeah.
They feel that like they have a lot of live music videos versus um versus actual in studio videos, and that's because they feel it's better to present the songs in a live setting rather than doing it in the studio. So
Yeah.
maybe they feel it's better to wait until they can do live shows again to debut new stuff, because that's where they like to present their stuff. Like Baby Metal is so
Yeah.
much about the live performance.
Oh, there's
You
so
know,
much better live than the music videos. I wouldn't mind like
that's the thing.
some official music videos for maybe some old songs and stuff that have been out a while. That would be nice. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
I totally agree. If it's new songs or it's new stuff, like yeah, let it be live. It's just so much better.
yeah. And that's probably why they haven't done like so many online lives, because if you watch the Rock May Can stream, a lot of people some people watched it live, some people watched it after. Yes, it's a Baby Metal performance, but I think a lot is lost when there's no crowd, because
Yeah,
Baby Metal is so much about interacting with their crowd, and that they give the crowd energy, the crowd gives them energy back, and
yeah.
it's the whole package. So maybe they feel like, yeah, we can do online lives, but it's not the same as having the crowd there and having them interact with us and us interact with them. And maybe they feel they don't want to present it in that kind of way. They want
Makes
to do it
yeah, that makes sense.
properly.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
they'll hold off some stuff until they can present it in the right way
Yeah.
to the fan base again.
So
Yeah, maybe.
yeah. So yeah, there we go. I want to say to everybody on YouTube as well, thanks for watching. Like I said, we are only a couple of days away from Budokan, so we've speculated, we've discussed, we've debated, and we still don't know Jack. So we will find
Yeah.
out in a couple of days.
Only the Fox God
Only
knows.
the Fox God knows. We will find out in a couple of days what will happen. Hopefully something big will drop, in which case is why I wanted to get this episode out before the end of Budokan, in the hopes that there'll be some big news, or maybe an album drop or a single or something might happen. Momoko gets crucified. We don't know what's going to happen. It could nothing could happen. Nothing could happen. But something could happen.
We'll see.
So, so we're trying to get this episode out now. Let me know in the comments as well about the things that me and Paul have discussed, whether or not you agree, disagree, also what your thoughts and opinions are. I'd really, really appreciate it, as well as smashing the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you probably very, very soon, hopefully in the next week or two, for another episode, once we find out what the hell's going on. As always, Paul, thank you so much, man, for joining. I really, really appreciate it.
No worries, man.
And to everybody who's watching this, thank you so much as well. And we'll see you guys next time. See
See you.
you.